Often been taught as men to man up, hide our feelings, and maintain a strong, stoic demeanor. But the question is, at what cost? Right? Today we will hear a well-known celebrity break down on national radio station when asked about how he's been handling all that has been happening to him and around him. Take a listen.
With a lot of grief. Like I think about Brother Paul Walker, and I think about
John
Ray, John Singleton, your mother.
Divorce. Both of my sisters died.
Yeah, your sisters. People don't look at divorce as grief, but you did. You lose things, you know. Probably lost a lot of friends when you went through your mental health breakdown. Are you really, have you really taken
This is
the
from
time
the
to
Breakfast
deal
Club,
with all
by the
of
way.
that grief? Or do you just try to stay busy to avoid it?
For me, right there is that awkward pause.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, that awkward pause where the question has been asked, you want to answer, but you have to process.
Yeah.
And not only is he processing, what we're gonna also find out is in the split second of him processing that question, getting ready to give an answer, he is also assessing his environment.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a safe place for me to share?
Mm.
Can I break down right now? Or should I just man up? Again, like we were saying, keep a stoic demeanor. What is the best thing to do? And I love what he did here. Listen.
I'm doing the best I can with every 24 hours I get.
Get some tissue for me, brother.
No, I don't need no tissue. Black men cry.
That's right.
You know, fucking tissue. 24 hours I get. I'm doing the best I can. Beautiful Pain, 1992. There is no square footage I could ever live in. There was no rims, no jewelry, and no car. There was no net worth. There was no press release. There was no co-star. There was no collaboration in the world that could ever replace my mama. I could ever feel the void of what it's like to wake up and get married and want to be in something for the rest of your life. And it goes away.
Making me cry.
Get Tyrese some tissue. Yeah,
I don't need no tissue.
U.S. man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I love you.
You've been
too,
holding
man.
this
Do
in
you
the whole
understand
interview,
how
though.
much power it is in letting it go?
Yeah, because you've been holding it the whole interview. I've been
Okay.
watching you.
You asked me the question.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm getting
You should have never asked the question
I love you.
if you didn't want to see
I love you. I love you. I love you.
how hard it's been to get through.
I love
All
you.
right.
Okay. Do you not cry?
Okay. I'm gonna stop it right there. Welcome back to my Darling Bride podcast, powered by Refuge and Fortress Network. It is yours faithfully and sincerely, Pastor Emmanuel Ludownsi, and I have with me today First Lady O and PK, all the way from Waterbury, Connecticut. That's my what was that? That's my Tri-State Connect. I was gonna say that's my DMV. That's my Tri-State Connect. That's my CT Connect. How y'all feeling today?
Hello.
Hello. How you guys?
Good.
I mean, where do we even begin, right? Because I mean, you know, when we were planning to work on this episode here, my wife was like, wouldn't it be better if just y'all men talk about this?
Nah.
Right? And I was like, you know what?
Nah.
It might be better, but
It would have been politically right, but nah.
traditionally, that's what the right response would be.
Mhm.
You know what? There is, because to say that, right? Sometimes, a lot of men will say, just us men, so that we can be free, so that we can do that.
Yeah, women wouldn't understand.
Or a woman wouldn't understand. But really, what we're again doing
Mm-hmm.
is
Still
hiding.
following that.
Are you following what I'm saying?
Societal, yeah.
We're still following that societal mentality to say that, you know, if I
It's
want
a
to,
man thing.
it's a man thing. And if I'm going to break down, or if I'm going to have this conversation, I'm not going to do it in front of a woman, because I don't want her to see me, right? I don't feel comfortable enough to share my emotion, express my emotion in front of women, right? All right. So If you're yet to subscribe, please go ahead and do so now. Also, comment and share down below. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 4, that there is a time to weep and there is a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. While we don't have the details of everything that has happened to Tyrese, by the way, that video, that audio you just heard came from the Breakfast Club. Charlemagne asked Tyrese, the popular R&B singer, about the things that has been going on in his life, right? While we don't have all the details about what happened, I must say that it does break my heart to see a grown man, break down like that in this manner, because you can even hear the deep-pocketed level of pain.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you're listening, I want you to underline that word, deep-pocketed, because it's bottled up. My God, level of pain and sorrow in every word. And then my question to myself and to our society is, why is there so much shame in embracing our emotions? Right? Most of us men, we have been raised to focus on the laughing and the dancing. From that verse, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 4, it says there is a time to weep and there is a time to laugh. We hold on to the laughing part, we ignore the weeping part.
Right.
There's a time to mourn and then there's a time to dance.
Yeah.
We hold on to the dancing part, we ignore the mourning part. Why have we been raised to focus on the laughing and dancing aspect of that verse and not so much the weeping and the mourning aspect? You feel me? Like we are trained to put up a good front, safe face, and mask our emotion with a seemingly more pleasant, more societal acceptable expression of emotion, like laughing and dancing, right? Even when we are burning up on the inside.
Yes. Just surface level.
And ignoring those emotions doesn't make us stronger.
Not at all.
It holds us back from healing and from the fullness of life that God wants us to have.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine you okay, for example, remember when your dad passed away, right? We were all there. I mean, everybody was breaking down, right? Could you imagine that day, all the guys, me, your brothers, we were just boning face, right? Just trying to save face.
And maybe there was a little part of you guys that wanted to, but at some point you couldn't help it anymore.
No, exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because you're thinking, okay, I gotta be strong for y'all.
Yeah.
I gotta be strong for the women. I gotta be strong for mom. You know what I'm saying? So it's that mentality to wanna, be the man, hold it, because that's the mentality society has given, to everybody. But then what happens later on behind closed doors by yourself?
Speaking of that, PK, I remember one time you said something that throughout the whole process of, the burial and the funeral arrangement and everything like that, our pastor would always come to visit, once a week or whatever, just to show up, console the family and everything like that, right? You said to me, PK, that that throughout the whole process you were watching Pastor and you were kind of seeing how he was handling the situation as well, how he was availing himself for the family, how he was showing up, and you were just kind of watching like, man, there was strength, and you said that it just increased your level of respect for him and everything like that, right? Do you remember when you said that?
Right.
Right. When we got there, and he had to also maintain a strong face as a pastor. Everybody was bawling.
Yeah.
But he was like straight face.
But you could see.
But what I'm saying though is because the reason I'm trying to bring the correlation between men and leaders. Because again, the whole point of not crying is to show a leadership front.
Absolutely.
You follow what I'm saying? Where does that put us as leaders? Because we're leaders of our home. I don't imagine, I don't know, I don't know what it would feel like for my kids seeing me cry. You follow what I'm saying? And I don't know what message it would pass to them if I did. So is in the same way, pastor being a leader, I'm sure he's standing there like, what is me crying going to
do
ask
for those people.
for these people right
Yeah.
now?
Right. I'm here to give them some strength,
You know what I mean?
spiritual
But
strength. But
right.
if I'm found
But
in my
where
vulnerable state,
Mhm.
how are they going to handle it?
But where do we make allowance for expressing?
I think the issue or what happened in this video specifically
Mhm.
is Tyrese sounded like he didn't have anybody that he could express this to.
Okay.
A lot of times when you bottle things in is because you don't want to say it to anybody.
Mm.
So you hold it in.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Now, I feel like if this is an emotion, and obviously the question asked brought up things that
Yeah.
made him open up,
Yeah.
which was great because
Mhm.
clearly he needed somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have somebody in which you're open with,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to express those things
Mhm.
out, it's not going to be built up in you anymore.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, for example, using pastor, for example, pastor might have held it together in front of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe when he got home,
Mm-hmm.
in his comfort of his home with his wife,
Mm-hmm.
he was able to express how he truly felt
Mm-hmm.
on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the leadership role comes in specific. There's a time and place,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense, where you maintain steez.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean you bottle up the emotion for life and just leave it in there, because what happens is it keeps building up till one breaks down.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It makes sense.
Absolutely. And to chime in on what to PL. So for Tyrese in this situation, it is not, I don't think it is only about not finding someone to talk
Open
to.
up to.
I think it is also more of not having, I think PY mentioned that earlier, not feeling being safe, in
Mhm.
having a safe space
Mm.
to express himself, or
Mm.
maybe not the perfect timing,
Mm.
whichever one comes first. So I think the message or the lesson we should take out of this is to have it at the back of our mind that even though society has placed this unequal burden on men to always be strong, to keep that emotion in because we want to maintain that strong front. We have to always find, first of all, we have to know it's okay for us to let it out. But more importantly, we have to find that person we could share our burdens with. It's not safe. It is not medically okay for us to hold on to those things because it would eventually bust open and it can cause more harm than good. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with this TV show because while we were talking, that TV show just came to my mind. I just recently finished watching it. All American. I
Yeah.
think it's
Mhm.
5.
Mhm.
When Coach died,
Baker, yeah.
and he was. I mean, it was like a son to him, even though it wasn't his biological son, but it was like a son to him. Very close. It was his mentor, and it hit him so hard, but he needed to stand up and be the leader for the family, running around with the burial arrangements, holding it down for the family, all that, you know. And everybody thought it was good because he was taking care of all those things. They were appreciative of everything he did. And he really did good. The
Mm.
mother was even so amazed that he rallied around everyone, made sure everyone is good. Whatever needs to be done, he made sure he was right there doing it for everyone. But guess what? Months after the barrier, everyone has moved on, or at least trying to move on, and that was when it hit him. That was when it broke down. That it almost cost him his football career. He had to go to therapy before he came back out of that. And it was just the fact that he kept holding the death of that man to the fact that when coach called him the night when he was going to die, because he had a misunderstanding with him the day before. So when coach called him, he didn't pick up the call. So in his mind,
holding that in, yeah.
Felt like if he had just picked up the call, maybe he would have, and the coach would have not got on that bus. So, and that was the only thing. And he had to go back to, and the therapy had to help him to retrace a step back to the genesis of the problem.
Yeah.
So black men generally, man, it's not just black men. We all need to come to that understanding that we also are human. We're not God. Yes, God has made us leaders of our home, but
the question that came to mind just now is, where did we as men get the pressure to hide our emotion? Like, did we get that from society? Is it a cultural thing, or is it a personal thing? Because you said a lot of stuff now, and you made some reference to society dictating for us as men how we are to be. When you want to talk about being a man, they tell you, be a man. Yeah. Man don't cry. Man, you know what I'm saying? Be a man.
Man don't show emotions.
Man don't show emotions, right? And the reason why I kind of preface our discussion today using men and leadership, right, is because I'm actually trying to create a level of distinction between the two.
Absolutely. There is a difference.
Right? Because just because you're a man does not mean you're a leader.
Right.
Not only that, leadership is not only reserved for men.
Right.
Women are leaders too.
Right.
And when we talk about strength and time and place of showing emotion, breaking down and things like that, we are actually referring to leaders.
Exactly.
Not just men.
Not just men.
Right.
It would be then a disservice to your son, who is still a child, not a leader at all, right? Training him to hide his emotion and training your daughter to freely express her emotion.
Exactly.
When in reality, they can both be leaders at some point in their lives. You follow what I'm saying? So the expectation is not for men not to cry or break down in front of people, is making excuse for leaders to be able to maintain strength because they occupy a position in an office where people are looking up to them. And it demands that they show strength.
There's a time and place.
And there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
But it's not only for men.
No,
it's my point here.
And
not.
If you go back to what you said,
yeah.
If you go back to the point you just said, when you said it would be a disservice to raise your children, raise your boys, your men to hide emotion and your women to show emotion. That statement, raise your, already kind of tells you the answer to the first question. It's not the only answer, but one of the answers to the first question. When we talk about culture, upbringing is where it starts from. Before we get into society, we make the society. The people make the society. So it's based on our beliefs and our culture and what we were brought on that we impose and form. Society says this. Society is the people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I trace it back to upbringing, culture of whoever started this whole thing.
No.
You understand what I'm saying?
No, the reason why that question is a very important question to explore is because inside society, you will find multiple cultures.
Absolutely.
Inside one society. Are you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like the culture of our home, first of all, the culture of our ministry, for example, is called philia culture. Is love culture. Is what we're trying to raise our men and women about, to love, to express love, to show love, to be about love. It's all about friendship, fellowship, partnership, right? That's one culture in this American society. There's a completely different culture out there that teaches people to bully people, to, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole culture right there, right? What I'm saying is culture is much more powerful than society. What I'm saying is the culture does not make the society though. You understand what I'm saying?
It has more of an influence, though. It has a bigger influence on.
I feel like culture makes up a society.
You're saying the same thing.
No. Okay, hear me. What I'm saying, what you guys are saying is an accumulation of culture makes society.
Right.
Granted, agreed. No discussion, no debate. What I'm saying is in the life of the man, in the life of the woman, culture has more influence and impact
what society says
than what society says.
Yes, I mean, it still correlates though.
It's still kind of
think about it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead, PK. Go ahead.
I think I understand what you're saying. It's like what you said earlier. Two children in the house. My kids, for example, they will both become a leader someday. It's all about how you train them, how you raise them. Okay, so but culture, I think where you're going is that culture takes a bigger role.
Yep.
In how you raise the kids, because
what I'm saying
comes from whatever it is, whoever they would truly become, how they would truly see the world.
Yeah.
As a culture holds a big impact in that.
Culture, what I'm saying, culture defines the man.
Right.
And the reason why I'm making this point, I just saying, don't get me wrong.
That's why I said we're still kind of saying the same thing, right? No, in the sense of yes, culture makes the person or the people we're talking about, and us saying culture makes society. It's essentially still saying the same thing.
No,
culture being the bigger influence, which is the people on the people.
No, you see, I'm saying culture makes the man. Society does not.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes, we're still saying the same thing. That's what I'm like, you're still not following.
How does society make the man?
I didn't say society makes the man. I said culture makes society.
Culture,
okay.
Yeah, culture makes the man.
Hold on.
People.
No.
Society.
Culture.
Society. No, of course, all the people.
No, that's what I'm saying. So
we're not saying the same thing.
We're about to fight.
Language.
We're about to fight.
No. Okay. Let me land. Let me land this plane.
All right, land.
Before we watch yourself.
What I'm saying is this, right? What I'm saying is this: when we're looking at the man,
English professors here.
when we're looking at the man and we're looking at the fabrication of what makes the man, right? I'm saying culture makes the man.
Agreed.
Though is in a society that is an accumulation of multiple cultures.
A society that can also mold and shape him.
Society can influence him.
Yeah.
Culture makes the man. In other words, because when we talk about making of the man, when we talk about the fabrication of the man, we're talking about the things,
upbringing,
the
yeah,
upbringing,
from
the
the very start.
culture he comes from.
I agree.
For example, you know, in a more general sense, I'm Nigerian by culture. I'm Yoruba, particularly Yoruba, not just Nigerian. Yorubas are far different from Igbos and the Hausas, right? Now you have brought my Nigerian butt and you brought me to America. I am now in an American society, but my fabrication is still my culture. Now, my society can influence me if I allow it, but my makeup is my culture. I'm saying all that to say this, that we have a responsibility. We may not be able to change society,
Correct.
but we
Because
can
it
change our
comprise-
culture.
It's composed of so many.
You follow what I'm saying? We can change our
I get
culture.
what you're saying.
We can change our home culture. We can change our marriage culture. We can change our church culture.
Now I have a follow-up question for
What's
you.
your follow-up question?
What now happens when the culture is the same for everybody?
It cannot be.
No, the reason why I said that is in this matter, this specific topic of men maintaining steez, manning up. Do you agree that the culture, for the most part, 90%, maybe that's high, but for a high percentage of cultures, it's the same?
No, I get what you're saying in that one culture to another, we've borrowed.
We all have the same
some
mentality,
right? But what I'm saying, the reason why we're talking about culture and society right now is because we now have a responsibility to change the culture, right? Because what has now become a societal norm needs to become a cultural abnormalcy. You follow what I'm saying?
No, you're saying start changing the culture that will change the
Start
society.
changing the culture that may not even necessarily change society. We ain't really worried about changing society.
It will at some point.
It will.
It will at some point. It's a gradual process.
Yeah, it is a gradual process. But you know, I've learned,
because,
you know what I've learned?
like you rightfully said, if I make changes in my home, right?
Yeah.
You make changes in your home, either based on we're watching, listening to my darling podcast every week. If we do all that, at some point, 5, 10, 20,000 million people will start following the same or at least similar things.
Yeah,
it would influence the society.
It would influence the society.
It will
You're right.
take a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but at some point, it would become the new norm.
Yeah, I agree with that statement, 100%. My thought process and my concern really stands on where we have the most power as a people.
It starts with culture.
Is the culture.
Oh, absolutely. No,
Sure,
no,
yes. And the reason I'm saying that is because I want us and our listeners to make it a personal responsibility, right? That we are going in this culture.
It's inside out.
Right. In this culture, we are going to raise our men and our women a little different from the way society says, so that they can become this. You understand what I'm saying?
Influence society.
And
eventually.
maybe influence society, but it ain't about society right now. Saying because the reason why I'm saying that is because I would rather us maintain that small belief of let me fix this immediate circle first before even worrying about the big society. You understand what I'm saying? And I've learned that. The reason why I'm saying the reason I'm saying that is because I've learned that in my short journey as a pastor, preaching online every time and everything like that. I've seen something whereby so far, you know what I'm saying, in my journey so far, as a pastor, I've learned that, man, you know what, you're gonna have to find and form your culture, in a way that influences your immediate circle. In that we can't do things the way of the word. You understand what I'm saying? We can't move the way of the word. we have to figure out that this is our belief, this is our code of conduct, this is our creed, and this become our new way of life,
Right.
regardless of what they're doing out there.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's what because it's one question we have here.
That's
it
where
says,
the pressure comes from.
that's where the pressure
That's
comes from.
what
It says,
you're going
it says in an African family, for example, again, culture, right? One of the questions I wanted to ask is in an African family, love is often shown through actions rather than words.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love is actually
It's not in that. The word love is not in
It
their
doesn't
dictionary.
exist.
They don't know it.
It doesn't exist.
It was skipped in their dictionary.
You know what I'm saying?
What?
And that's a culture.
Yeah.
The question is, how has that affected how we express emotion?
Big way. In a huge way.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the culture we're talking about.
Yeah.
I
mean,
stubborn.
We make a lot of even in marriages concept to our husbands make a lot of statements. You guys are not romantic at all. This is where it stems from.
You
It's
even though you don't believe that we're not romantic, but you just believe your mother said it, so you probably should say it too.
What's small thing
It's
like this?
true.
You're not romantic at all. But it stems from this.
You know?
Yeah.
Now
It definitely has affected our emotions.
no, that is the topic.
Yeah.
The culture is the topic.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Because the whole point of this episode is to change the mentality
Mentality.
behind emotional expression of men, navigating, creating a safe space where men can open and freely share.
That's the part, because I feel like a lot of in the cultures, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why terms like love is not their vocabulary is because they've I don't know where it started from, but they've had the mentality of it just looks weak. It looks like an emotion a man shouldn't really express, right? Because it can make the man look weak.
Go ahead, PK.
Yes, I agree, but also I feel like I think it's more of understanding for them. It wasn't shown to them how things should be done from their own parents, so they don't understand the way their parents has shown love to them is by providing for them. It's by protecting them. It's by making sure that everything in the house are
Whatever they
being
need.
whatever they need
Provided for
is provided. So I think it's been passed down from generation to generation to that as their definition of love.
Yeah.
So they would rather do that than tell you, "I love you, love Jenny." Like,
Right.
you know what? So I think it's, and
Let me ask this question. I want to throw this question out there. How do we begin to change the narrative?
Heavy.
oh deep.
How do you begin to change the narrative?
How do you change
It
the
starts
narrative?
in your home.
That's one. Okay. What do you mean?
It starts in your home. Because, for example,
Starts from
using the example you gave earlier about my dad, he's expressed love in so many ways. He's never one to actually say it, right? Because we just talked about it in the African culture, they just don't do it. The men, they just don't, But towards the end, I started to verbally say it to him. He would say it back because if I say it back, and you don't say it back. But I started to do
say
that.
to my own dad, even till today, we
He
tell
would
you,
say it back.
we tell you shit.
Thank you.
That's a different level. But I think the reason why he started saying it back too is because maybe he needed to express it. I mean, when you get close to the end like that, you start to do things that you're like, okay, maybe I should have done it. So I feel like he was expressing it back as well to let it be known too.
So you're saying how to change the narrative is
Yeah, so I'm saying how to change the narrative is let it start from you, right?
by doing what?
By showing it, by doing those things, by having those emotions, by teaching it to your children.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because like even with you sometimes, like you might not say some things, but I'll look at you and be like, "Are you okay?"
Mhm.
Because I know to a certain level you might not want to fully express what you're feeling because you don't want to put that burden on me.
Mhm.
But I make it a choice to always check in. You okay?
Pause right there. I think that's one thing I'm looking for one of you to say. If you notice, going back to the video that we watched earlier, what started all of this
Was
Charlemagne
Charlemagne asking
the question, how are you doing?
Right.
I don't think we do that enough.
We don't actually.
I don't think they do it at all.
No. I'm saying in general, people, men
Yeah,
to men.
Yeah, don't have those kind of
It
conversations.
goes back again to what we spent half of this podcast talking about, which is the society,
Mhm.
and the culture, the pressure put on us.
Mhm.
I don't think people around us even think that we are going through anything.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If two people are going through a situation, a man and a woman,
Mhm.
they would look out for the woman. It just comes
Mhm.
naturally
It comes
for
natural.
the community to
Mhm.
rally around that woman
Mhm.
and think she's the one that needs the problem. Yes, she does, but forgetting that it was two
Yeah.
that two.
It affected.
What is that? Two. It makes two to tango.
Takes two to tango.
So I think we need to ask more questions. More check on the guy, on the man too.
Yeah. And
Oh,
if you go back to what the example you gave earlier, PK, of that show, the mistake they made was assuming he was okay.
assuming, yes.
As close as it was to the
Yep.
coach,
Yep.
of course he's hurt. So to
Yeah.
assume just because he's doing all these things means it's okay. Just because my husband is not crying, I'm assuming this thing that doesn't affect him.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So he might not want to express it, but you as another party, friendship, relationship, marriage, whatever the case may be, check on your people.
Mhm.
So that way you can let them know. It's your way of letting them know this is a safe place for you to open up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And look at what Charlemagne did. Charlemagne got up.
Okay.
Charlemagne asked him the question.
Mhm.
Probably didn't know he was gonna break down.
Mhm.
Then seeing how serious it was and seeing how the man opened up, he got up and hugged him, and that probably made a big difference
Mhm.
for Tyrese. So
Yeah.
it's important. We have a part to play to check in on people, to do that wellness check of, are you okay?
Okay, so we said we changed the narrative by showing it, right? By saying it. We changed the narrative by asking, right? Asking, are you okay? We changed the narrative by not making assumption.
Yes, that's
right?
a big
Not making
one.
assumption that they're okay
Yes.
when we haven't even asked if they are okay. Is that we changed the narrative also by creating a safe space for one another to be able to
No judgment.
freely express
Yeah.
how we are feeling. And PK, when you were saying something just now that you said that led to me thinking, do you know that another reason why we actually don't check on each other is because we have this mentality? I know it's happening in the African community, in the Black community. I don't know if it's not a general thing, but I know it happens in a lot of African community, Nigerian community, where it's like, we're all going through something, right? There's not, what you're going through is not really new or unique to you. So we all take it by the chin. We all keep it moving, right? So it's like, why do I need to check on you when I'm also going through my thing? And you're going through your thing. So it's like, let's just go through our thing on our separate ways and not talk about it. Because what are you going to say you're going through that I'm not going through? So we look at people's issue and problem from our own perspective and say, oh, what happened to him? He just lost his job. I lost A, B, C, and D. right?
Mm.
Somebody can look at you and say, well, like in your case, for example,
I lost ABC and who checked on me?
who checked on me?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So you haven't really lost much. I mean, you just lost your job. I lost a whole business. Who checked on me, right? So
Yeah.
we have this self mentality of being self-conscious, constantly thinking about ourselves, and then looking at other people's problem from our lens. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm.
And we need, as a community, as a society, as a culture, need to stop doing that.
It's dangerous.
It's a very dangerous place to be as a people, when that is, because when you look at a lot of at the black community specifically,
Mm.
right, in Hollywood, they're all going through it,
Yeah.
but they
Right.
don't check up on each other because we're all
No.
going through the same
Nobody
thing.
wants to, nobody wants to express that. Nobody wants
No,
to
no, 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 no. Nobody wants to.
open
Nobody
up their
wants.
closet like that.
Exactly. Nobody wants people to see them in their
But
vulnerability.
then you then hear things like, this person killed themselves.
Yeah.
This person did this.
I was
Because they
was
did
going
not
to
do
that.
that.
I was gonna
Because
say
you don't
that.
know how somebody
Because-
can handle whatever situation they're in.
No.
It's different from you.
Yeah.
No.
Go
That's
ahead.
why you see the increasing rates
Mhm.
of men's suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, that's
Yeah.
it's just because they just bottle these things in
Mhm.
for so long, and it gets to a point where they just cannot handle it anymore.
Yeah. We've shared a lot on how we can creative, and that was really my focus on
Yeah.
today's episode, really to highlight this issue and see how we can change the narrative. You know, for whatever reason, as a society, we as a society, as a culture, have contributed, have attributed actually emotional expression of men to weakness, right? But as we always say on this platform, if it is found in the Bible, it is kingdom, and if it is kingdom, it is allowed,
Absolutely.
because the basis of our life is the word of God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the reason why I'm saying, I want to go to 2 Kings chapter 13 verse 14. Bible shows us a king who breaks down in tears because he had just lost a spiritual father. Are you following what I'm saying? 2 Kings 13:14 says, now Elisha was falling sick of a sickness whereof he died. Elisha died, right? And Joash, the king of Israel at the time, came down unto him and wept over him. My father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof. He was wailing bitterly, like, wow, he just lost his spiritual father.
Mm.
This is a king, a sitting king.
There's one person.
If there's anybody that should maintain strength,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's him.
Mm.
But here we're looking at a king. Never mind, let me show strength. Never mind, let me maintain steeds. Never mind place and time. No, this is a king. What does that tell us? And that's why I brought up the concept of man and leadership in the beginning, right? And from looking at this, I'm sure there's a whole lot more to look at, but I learned something. Number one, that the king expressing his emotion did not make him less of a king.
Not at all.
It didn't reduce his dignity.
Nope.
Not at all.
You're not gonna see him tomorrow and say, well, you're no longer a king. You were crying yesterday.
Right.
No. Number two, people did not respect him any less or become disobedient to his rule. If you felt like he wasn't a king, you just go and try and say you want to do.
We see where that goes.
We're gonna find out
We'll find
if he's still a king or not. Don't. What I'm saying. Don't.
The funny part is, it is just a cultural mentality to think that being in that vulnerable state, people would see you as being weak. But
Right.
you know, the surprising thing is, many times when you see a man actually express his emotions, people respect him.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Yes.
You know,
Talk about it.
people respect him even more, that he's able to express himself.
Relatable.
But I love when you express yourself though and keep it moving.
Yeah.
There's a difference between
You ain't following
expressing
it.
yourself
Breaking
and breaking down.
Yeah.
right? Breaking down to this, breaking down, not like breaking
Not like
down in
breaking
tears,
down,
but
yeah.
breaking down. Like you
giving
drop the
up.
ball, you give up, you just let go completely.
Because the only most of the times when you break down completely and unable to do anything, that results from you not dealing with the problem earlier,
Mm-hmm.
bottling a whole lot for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And when you broke down, it is not you actually expressing your feelings.
Mm.
It is the problem getting out of hand,
Mm.
and you can't manage it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So at that point in time, it is not you in control. It is the emotions now in control. So
Yeah.
there's really nothing you can do.
Exactly. Right. There is strength in expressing your emotion and moving on. I think if we society just like, make that message clear. Look, it's okay to express your emotion. Cry the cry you're gonna cry and move on. Like life goes on, move on. That's strength, right? Another thing the king is showing us is that it didn't take away from his strength as a man, as a king, as a leader, as a ruler. He was still able to get up, move on with his life, and do his duty as a leader. He was still able to lead the people, show leadership, king, rule the people. And then finally, this is the last part that I love about this man. The lesson that I'm taking from this 2 Kings 13:14 is that emotional expression from his office and position actually serve as a way of setting other men free. And what I mean by that is when you see somebody in that position, in his office, breaking down in that manner and being able to move on, still rule, still lead, it shows you as a man that you can do the same thing too. Because he's in a position of leadership where
You're
people are looking
relatable.
up to him.
You become relatable.
Right.
Not only does it become relatable, it delivers you as a man that it's okay for me to cry.
So have the
It's
All
okay
right.
for me to express my emotion
It's all right.
and still be able to move on. Bref, look at Tyrese, for example. There are a lot of people that look up to Tyrese as a role model,
Mhm.
right? A lot of R&B singers that are looking up to him as their icon and whatever. Seeing him being able to break down like that, there are some other men that'll be like, yo, if Tyrese can cry on national radio, I probably can cry too. And move on. That's the key here. I don't want no man wallowing in their tears. Cry and move on.
All right. Right.
Amen.
Amen.
Man.
There's strength showing your emotions. I like that.
I ain't playing.
Thank you for playing. Thank you, PY. Thank you, PY, for that concluded statement. Here's the MDB news for the week. In case you did not know, Biden wants to help us clear some of our student loans, y'all.
Right.
If you have student loans, come to the front of the line.
Come closer.
Come to the front of the line. Biden wants to help us clear our student loan before leaving office.
Please.
The U.S. Department of Education recently announced a new initiative to tackle student loan debt. You know, this is a major issue affecting millions of Americans today. This includes simplifying the process for applying for the loan forgiveness under the PSLF, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, where borrowers working in public service jobs could have their remaining debt forgiven after 10 years of payments. A lot of us have gone to school a long time ago. 10 years, that 10 years has been completed already. So,
If they want to do this thing, let them just forget all these conditions.
Yeah, right? Just over with.
Eh?
just do it.
I think that's what I like to enjoy. Don't do this thing.
Just do it.
So if you're in this position, you know, you went to school, you have some student loans that you're still paying off, make sure you visit the official website of the U.S. Department of Education at www.ed.gov. They have more information about this initiative that Biden wants to do.
Thank you, PL. You know, these people, it's something they can do if they really want to do it. They can just,
Yeah.
you know. As we get ready to enjoy this weekend, here is our MDB quote of the week. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel the pain. It means you don't let the pain stop you from moving forward. And
Come
I'll
on.
take that again. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel the pain. It means you don't let that pain stop you from moving forward. And
Come
that's
on.
by Nelson Mandela.
I mean, that's all I've been saying. You can cry, but move on.
I need to make that into a poster for you. You can show emotion,
But move on. Hey man, that's all we have for today. I hope we've been a blessing to you on today. I hope we've shared a tip or two to help solidify your kingdom union, not only with yourself, the person of self, but also with others, and most importantly, with God on today. Don't forget to
like, share, subscribe, and comment down below.
And until next time, be the light.
Be the salt.
And remember, all things are possible if
You
you
believe. Bye.